Just the disclaimer, Dino is not like 90 years old.
I don't perceive myself as being an AI expert. I see myself as being AI curious. If we were to turn off the internet today, what would happen? AI will be everywhere. I've said it a couple of times in the past. It will be like the air we breathe. And without AI, it'll be hard for us to function.
Okay, hi Dino.
How are you?
Good. How about you?
Yeah, very good. It's Friday.
Yes.
It's Friday at 4:45.
Not the best time to record this.
Exactly. After an easy week.
Yeah. I think this is the most inspiring moment to chat about AI.
It's a good way to kick off the weekend.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But we had some presentations today about also AI projects, so
we did.
A bit of inspiration.
A lot of AI happening.
Dino, I want to invite you to this podcast because you have a lot of perspective on the AI in business. We have a pleasure to work together for a few months right now.
Yes.
And I'm very curious to kind of, get into some deep stuff and how this is kind of your perspective on things. And to start with, to introduce you,
to me?
Yes, to you and to our listeners. I've asked ChatGPT to do a brief bio. So who is Dino Metaxas? He's a seasoned digital marketing and transformation expert, currently serving as the Chief Digital and Marketing Officer, CDMO, for L'Oréal in Poland and Baltics. And he has an extensive background in leading digital acceleration and omni-channel marketing projects across multiple regions: Europe, Africa, Asia, and United Arab Emirates. Sounds quite right, or not really?
Yeah, so I would say it's very flattering. It's a very flattering summary of myself. I would say that it's about 95% accurate. I spent a lot of time in my career working abroad, so working outside of Poland. I spent a lot of time in Africa, not working for L'Oréal, but for working for Pernod Ricard with digital acceleration. I spent a lot of time in global travel retail, so that took me to a lot of different parts in the world. And now at L'Oréal for a year and 3 months. So responsible, of course, for so CDMO stands for Chief Digital Marketing Officer. So all of the innovation and all of the exciting digital things that we're doing at L'Oréal, I try to help the teams accelerate in that particular area. And AI happens to be one of these exciting fields.
Okay, good. So that was a good decision to invite you. A good person to talk to.
So it was good. Yes, it was good.
So I have also heard that you're an expert in integrating modern technologies with traditional marketing approaches, crafting transformative strategies that enhance brand experience and drive innovation. That sounds pretty great.
This sounds like ChatGPT definitely wrote it because I don't know where that came from. But simply saying, I think that a lot of the marketing that we do today has a high level of technology that we integrate into it, and we're not getting away from it. I think that in today's day and age, everything that I would say that I do and my team does has a large level of innovation and technology integrated into it. So we're always trying to think innovatively and how can we drive innovation into a lot of traditional solutions that we have. And AI is making that a lot easier, I can say, in a lot of the areas that we're...
So let's get from the vision and the perspective to kind of down to earth, meaning the day-to-day reality. I'm curious, how do you use AI?
So me personally, there's two areas that kind of really excite me. One is the looking at the market and listening to a lot of podcasts, looking at YouTube, in terms of what's happening, what's out there, what are the predictions for AI in the near future. So we see 5 to 10 years. So I'm really excited to learn and listen and to understand what's happening, what's out there, and what we can potentially expect, what the predictions are, which are many different predictions, which of course we can talk about, and I can give you my kind of take on things. From my perspective, well, I use ChatGPT like many people do today on a regular basis. I would say almost on a daily basis. I think it's primarily focused on my work. We're lucky enough at L'Oréal to have a L'Oréal GPT. So our L'Oréal GPT is quite advanced. It has...
so this is the enterprise version, right?
This is the enterprise version of GPT for corporations. And the reason why we have it is that so that our data, the data that our employees are entering, doesn't go outside of L'Oréal, which is extremely important, right, for data security. We have a lot of documents that are highly confidential that we don't want to be sharing with the outside world. And in order to continue to be innovative, L'Oréal understands that GPT drives a lot of innovations and helps employees with ideas and making their lives easier. So I think it's absolutely been great. We've had L'Oréal GPT. It's been about a year, maybe just over a year now, and the company continues to develop it. So we have the large language model built into it, but we also have text to image built into it. So we're doing a lot in that particular area.
So give me an example, like during the today, yesterday, this week. What exactly have you prompted? Like, what was the use case?
So I think I'm prompting sometimes a lot of simple things that you could probably prompt on Google. So I think before of talking about that today, about 50% of my prompts are GPT versus Google.
Google meaning Google search.
Google meaning Google search. So it depends on what I'm looking for, but typically I want a straight answer and I want it quickly. I will prompt GPT. If I were to look at my recent prompts, just the other day, I'm planning to do a workshop with my senior leaders, with my senior team, and I know what I want to do. At the end of the day, I know where I want to be with the workshop. So the fundamental idea of what we want to get out of the workshop at the end of the day. But I was missing some ideas in terms of how can I best run this workshop. Right?
So you mean like some agenda, some exercises, or
some exercises, and we have 1 day to run the workshop. So the time is not a lot. It's just 8 hours, and I want to specifically get something out of that 8 hours. What is the most effective way to do it?
Okay.
And so I asked GPT to plan the workshop for me. What are some of the exercises? What are some of the innovative exercises that we can run with the workshop? And it came up with a couple, I asked it to give me 3 different options in terms of the workshop, and I gave it some direction, of course, and it came with some really good ideas. So definitely pulled some ideas out of that, and we'll do the workshop with that.
We're just at the beginning of this whole, change, and like, how do you personally feel? Are we all just over the top and we're falling down, or is it just the beginning of this?
That's a really interesting really good question. So first of all, if you're looking for an AI expert, then you've found the wrong person. I don't perceive myself as being an AI expert. I see myself as being AI curious. So I'm curious, and I think curiosity is very important in people, right? It's if you're curious and you want to learn and you want to find information, you can find it. Everything is out there, right? So one of my recommendations is, first of all, be curious, because AI is something that's not going to be going away ever. It's like the internet. The internet's not going anywhere. Away. The only way the internet's going to go somewhere is if an asteroid hits us.
Or the spots on the sun, and there's going to be a blackout.
There's a few other options out there that could work. But I think that AI is definitely not going anywhere. So for me, again, I'm more curious than being an expert.
So on this curiosity, you have a feeling that, okay, we are at the top and there's not going to be much else, or do you think that we are at the bottom and this is just the beginning of kind of, going up?
So I'll go back a little bit. The internet was launched in 2001, I think, and I remember that day very, very, very vividly. I was working at a restaurant, paying for my college tuition, and I was reading the physical newspaper. Mm-hmm. Have you seen one of those? You're younger than I am.
Yes, a few times.
A couple of times. My grandfather has one, right?
Yeah.
He's got a bunch of newspapers sitting there.
Just the disclaimer: Dino is not like 90 years old.
No, he's not. We're on video too, so you can check. I'm not yet. Not yet. Anyway, hopefully I'll live that long. I think with AI, it should work out if it's not catastrophic. I would say. So I was reading the newspaper and I read the headline: "Today's the launch of the World Wide Web." And I was sitting with a customer and we were having a chat about it. And I said, you know what? I think this is going to be pretty big one day. Mm-hmm. And who would have known that today, without the internet, nothing would function. Mm-hmm. And I think in 10 years' time, without AI, nothing will function. Mm-hmm. So if we were to turn off the internet today, what would happen? The internet itself, if it were to disappear.
Unimaginable. I mean, from my perspective, in the Stone Age,
No, it's not the Stone Age, Tomek. It's it's
where you go.
I grew up without the internet. It wasn't the Stone.
I mean, well, come on.
It wasn't the Stone Age.
You use Google Maps, right? If you want to go somewhere,
so you'd have to use a paper map.
Exactly. Yeah, you want to order some food. Like, come on, you need to go to the restaurant.
You'd have to physically go there.
Yeah, no Uber Eats, no Pisnapl, etc. Right?
I know. This place would be a lot different, right? It would be like the 1980s. Which I think a lot of people like, right, and wish that we were back in the 1980s. So I think that the internet, so AI, in 10 years will simply be. You're not going to think about it. We're not going to be talking about AI. AI will be everywhere. Mm-hmm. I've said it a couple of times in the past. It will be like the air we breathe. And without AI, it'll be hard for us to function.
So you say this is just the beginning?
It's absolutely the very beginning of something that is growing much faster than the internet itself. So much faster than the launch of the internet. Mm-hmm. We're at the beginning of huge changes for humanity in general, because today we're using AI for business and I'm using it as a marketer for marketing and how do we get better results? How do we drive higher ROI? How do we use innovation, AI for innovation? How do we get closer to our consumer? How do we personalize our communication with our consumer? Personalization is core consumer centricity, and how do we drive AI to understand our consumers better, to get the right products to them at the right time, et cetera, et cetera. And all of this AI is going to help us accelerate hugely in this area in terms of marketing. But we, as a normal person, maybe that's the wrong word, but if you're not in marketing, but you're in a completely different field, AI is going to touch every single sector, every single field possibly imaginable by humanity. There's no single area that AI is not going to dramatically change. Dramatically, I mean, not like healthcare.
Yeah, and
for example,
actually, this is healthcare is something that I'm pretty it's interesting for me based on kind of the med notes and my startup in the area. But also, I remember last year pitching med notes and having the discussions that, the threat that we see with the, AI in medical application and kind of med tech is that there may be one day that people will start to trust AI more than humans. And do we want that, kind of as a, question that is part that we discussed. And just last week, I've read an article, a scientific article, I think by Stanford, the research done by Stanford or London Medical School. I'll have to double check. But they've done a comparison, doctors, physicians with GPT-4, without GPT-4, tablets, diagnosis, let's go, right? And what they've done a comparison, how a experienced physician manages the diagnosis process with GPT-4 and without. And the results were that, the physicians without GPT, 73 or 72% of correctness.
Right.
The physicians with the GPT, 77, 78. And we have, 4 or 5%, maybe not that much. But the true point in the studies were that when they compare the diagnostic process made by physicians versus Soul GPT, Soul GPT was 92%.
92%.
Yes.
So, we're talking about something that at the moment is still, and I'm going to say it's not shallow. I don't know what the right word is, but we're talking about GPT, right?
Yeah.
So when I talk about AI being implemented everywhere, I see it as, implemented into when we talk about healthcare. So, in the very near future, I imagine very much a time where, from a healthcare perspective, today we have our Apple Watches. We've got the rings that measure your heart rate and all sorts of other things. And, soon you'll have an implant or you'll swallow a pill and that'll be connected to an app and it'll be connected to your personal physician, right? That's been created by AI. And that personal physician will know you very well because it's going to be analyzing your daily routines, what you're consuming, your stress at work, et cetera, et cetera. And that personal physician will be talking to you on an ongoing basis in terms of your blood sugar levels low, or, I've uncovered something strange in your bloodstream or whatever the case is. And I mean, this is where things start to get really exciting.
Yeah.
And again, physicians and doctors are still going to be needed because people need that personal touch. They still want to talk to the physician. They still want to talk to a doctor today in the short term, right? But look at the healthcare system, especially in the U.S., and not only in the U.S. but in many parts of the world, how broken it is.
Yeah,
right?
That's true.
How to get a doctor's appointment when you're ill, it takes you 6 months to get to a machine or to get to whatever. And imagine the healthcare now being instant, where you're having instant recommendations, and if something's really going bad, okay, you need to go visit a doctor because this is what it's telling you, and it books you an appointment automatically. You don't do anything, right? So you have your own personal physician that's managing everything that you're doing, and it's booking you an appointment with the hospital. The hospitals have less pressure, right?
Yeah.
Because
and
you're not
they can focus on the most urgent cases, right?
They're focusing on the things that are life-saving, right? So the operations that need to be done, the things that are so important. I mean, I don't know what the statistics are, but how much time is being spent on things that really don't need to, in terms of doctors.
Yeah, I do recall that part of the time people spend when they think they go to physicians is just to reassure themselves, right? So even when it comes to, for example, telemedicine, there is a difference when you have, for example, on a call, people are waiting and you say them, listen, this is autumn, so probably there are top 3 conditions that are right now most popular, and people have headaches, a temperature and something, and this is something that already solves around 20 to 30% of people who are like, okay, so this is what I have, right? Yeah. So they need a reassurance, not really spend the time with the physician actually telling them, hey, you have a common cold, take vitamin C, do some rest, and that's it, right?
Absolutely. So the amount of time that this is going to save. And again, so it's not replacing doctors. We're still going to need, doctors to work with people. So I think that, from a healthcare perspective, it's definitely going to extend human life. A lot of people are, dying unnecessarily. With cancer, cancer, for example, not being able to find cancer at the right time. AI is going to help with this. I mean, it's unlimited in terms of all the areas that AI is going to be helping us detect diseases with humans that can be cured earlier, where the extension of human life naturally is going to happen. So we talk about extension of human life naturally. I don't know what the maximum is for a human naturally. 120, 130?
Something like that, I think.
So you'll have a lot of people living to 120, 130 because if they haven't had a major accident, because it's just possible. But then AI is going to help us, re-engineer our DNA, our genomes, et cetera, and the extension of human life will happen.
Okay, let me.
But we're getting really far. We're getting really far into
we can spend probably 3 hours.
Actually, we're not getting far into the future because this is my prediction that within 10 years, the extension of human life is definitely going to be possible.
Yeah, I would also say that. Like an educated guess, probably this is the Like we have the tendency to overestimate the potential in short term, but undervalue the potential of technology long term. So, 10 years. But let's kind of, getting back to the here and now. What is your experience with different AI tools when it comes to the usefulness? So do you have any kind of areas that okay, this is where AI works, and this is where it does not work very good?
So I think in terms of so hallucinations have been dropped down. You know better than I do, but when we started with ChatGPT, the hallucinations were at about 30%. Today, they're down to how much now, Tomasz?
3 to 5%.
3 to 5%. So I can, especially when it comes to business results and looking at our business, a lot of times, if you want to be creative, 3% is nothing, right? So you're making a lot of decisions having that 3% margin of error. So
do you think people will be kind of, will accept it? Because what I usually...
humans are making way higher errors than GPT. You know what I mean?
It's perspective is that, but like quite often when I'm kind of working with different people, they expect 100% or nothing. Like this is, for example, especially interesting again in the medical sector when we work on the topic of clinical trials, right? And when we're working with pharmaceuticals and different physicians, we show them, listen, here you have the studies that show that in 17% of clinical trials, people experience some errors. And of course, there are kind of, other people who double check it because this is, health and safety. And there is a whole multi-million-dollar, backup structure to minimize the risk, right? Here we have a solution. Human risk. And like here we have a solution, a technology that has 5% risk. And they say, still no. Like it's 12% lower, but still the expectation is 100% or nothing. How do you feel? Like this is something similar that you experience?
From a marketing perspective, it's a risk that we can definitely take into account because the human error is going to be a lot higher than that 3%, regardless of what you're doing. You're never going to get more effective than 3%. I guess it depends what sector you're working in. But I can't imagine a sector that the margin of error, and I'm sure there are, but nothing comes to my mind at the moment that is 1%, 0%, that you're 100% effective. I don't see it. It's more around us accepting and working together with AI to say that yes, there is a particular margin of error, but we're working together with AI to make things better, and we're ready to accept this margin of error. So whether it's from a legal standpoint or not, or an internal, guideline perspective, we say we accept the risk. Now, what happens here now is that your AI is helping you to solve a lot of challenges that you have as an organization, and at the same time, it's helping you save a lot of time. So you need to find that balance, because sometimes it's that time that you without AI, it's taking you 10 times more resources to solve a problem than using AI, for example. So as a practical example, you kind of mentioned, which I do quite often. I get a report, 250 page report. So I have two options. I can read it on the weekend.
A good weekend.
Exactly. I can say I can't wait to read this report on the weekend. I'm not going to play tennis. I'm gonna read this report because
it's fascinating.
It's fascinating. Unless it's AI, then I'm not going to read the 200 pages. But or I have the option to run the report through AI and ask AI to summarize the key points that are most important for me, and AI comes back to me with 3, 5, 10 page summary, whatever I want, and I can pull the fundamentals out of that report, and that's enough for me. For other people, it may not, because they enjoy reading these kind of reports on the weekend. Again, it depends on the report and how much detail you need to get into. But functionally, this is some of the things that and this is one of millions of different ways to.
Okay, so if I understand you correctly, it works really, really good when it comes to kind of, squeezing the essence out of the data, reports, some kind of, files, giving you some ideas. I'm referring here, for example, to the aforementioned workshop, right?
For example. Yeah.
But not for the process of decision making. So this is kind of where you still think, okay, this is kind of, my job, and this is where I do reserve the spot for humans.
I think so. with decision making, a lot of the times, and it depends on the decision, right? So how important is that decision? What is the impact of that decision to my organization? A lot of the times, if we're making a collective decision, so if it's my team and my direct reports and we make a collective decision, sometimes we use AI to get data and to back it up and to make sure that we're making the right decision. But today I would say that it's primarily on the team in terms of, based on the data that we're getting from AI, of course. Right? A lot of times, not all the time, but many times. So based on the data that we're getting, not just AI. I mean, that we're getting data from so many different sources, but.
Yeah, I kind of, have a, I think, kind of similar experience, because what I especially liked voice mode in GPT-4, and what I found myself doing more and more is when I'm going for an evening walk with my dog. I need 40 minutes or 60 minutes to just tire him out, but it's also good for the brain to have a long walk, and
it's good for you too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But of course, I love to multitask, so I turn off the voice mode of ChatGPT, and I'm kind of, consulting. So, for example, right now we're preparing launch in US, and I'm like, okay, ChatGPT, imagine you are a professional consultant. You have, the background in the US. We have this and this kind of product, right? We're doing some kind of the context. Walk me through the process. I'm the co-founder. I want to pitch my idea. I plan this and this and that. Walk me through, right? And it kind of gives me. And this is very interesting because I am from time to time. I am in the role of a coach or a mentor or a person who works with people, and I find it very, very useful. Kind of to coach me through the process of getting to the point where I have okay, so this is how I want to do it, right? So I find it very useful when it's kind of the topic is just the beginning or kind of fuzzy, and I gotta what should I start with? Like, usually this is the people have a it's a challenge to kind of to start, right? You have this I'm planning like a trip or something, like where should I start, right?
Yeah, how do I kick off? How do I start? How do I ask the question? What is the right way to approach it? Yeah. I haven't used the voice option yet on GPT. But
I find it intriguing that I all kind of try to, and quite often find myself to say, "Oh, thank you very much." I mean, the personalization.
You're always saying thank you at the end.
Yeah,
I'm always saying, or please, can you please give me?
Yeah, this may save you from the machines that are going to revolt in the future. It's like, I was saying thank you,
but I was nice. Now, please.
Okay, so rapid advice. Here is the question, Dino, to you. Skills, tools, courses. If you would to recommend, 1, 2, 3, 5 different things, if someone is kind of getting into the topic, wants to know more, wants to learn, wants to try out the few different things, what would you recommend?
So there's two things. One is so if you work for a corporate and you're kind of in the corporate business, in the corporate area, and then if you're outside of that, so it depends on your role and what you do. Regardless, I think it's be curious. So first of all, kind of what I mentioned earlier, it's be curious. AI is only going to exponentially grow. It's not going anywhere. It's, as I mentioned kind of earlier, it's going to touch every organization, every area of business that's out there today. From a business perspective, it's interesting. A lot of, what is the percentage, Tomek? Remind me, like in terms of businesses in Poland that have already implemented GPT versus not using AI or GPT as a kind of fun primary source. Do you know what the numbers are today? Is it 50-50 or no?
No, much less. I mean, I'm recalling two things. One, when it comes to consumers, so how many people have some experience with using AI, either GPT-4 or something else.
But it's more in the corporate. So the corporate has integrated AI.
So globally, US is something around 40%. Europe, Poland is something.
40 does or doesn't?
40% of people have some experience with AI in US.
Okay.
In Poland, I remember this to be something between 15, 16, 17%. But here you have to also have in mind that we are speaking about the internet users, right? So, of course, when it comes to US or Poland or EU in general, we have a lot of people who are using internet. But when you see globally, the whole population of people are not using. I mean, the internet users are already kind of a selected population, right? When it comes to the companies, I remember that unfortunately we are not the leading kind of, nation when it comes to GPT or any other. I mean, we are leading when it comes to the tech talent. And this is something that you can hear every, conference, every place you're going to go, that we have a lot of tech talent and people who are really kind of have competencies, skills, knowledge, desire, curiosity to actually drive those things. But there is a challenge with commercialization. If I would go for my educated guess, I would say up to 20% tops of companies in Poland have some experience and tools that they can already use.
Right. So there's a huge area of opportunity. Or an expansion in terms of corporates. So I think getting back to the question. So if you work in a corporate that doesn't have GPT. So the first thing is, again, be curious. There's a lot of resources out there. So YouTube is a primary, for me, it was a primary source, getting onto YouTube and saying, okay, what's out there in terms of GPT? How do I use it? Cases. There's so much information out there available. It's really easy to reach out and get some simple courses on how to prompt. Really easy. It's not rocket science. The second one, if GPT is not available in your organization, typically what will happen is they're not going to want you to use GPT for business because they don't want the data to be going outside. But it's kind of like a bottom-up and top-down approach. It's bottom-up, meaning employees should say, hey, when are we going to have GPT? It's so important. I see these other organizations, they have it, and it's bringing so much value to the organization. And then it's top-down, the top, understanding that, this is super important. How do we kind of move on it very, very quickly? It's a priority. From there, we've seen so much innovation coming from using GPT within our organization and beyond, because it's not just about using GPT, but once you start using GPT, you understand the opportunities that AI can bring an organization outside of just GPT. So developing solutions based off of large language models or even smaller language models, building solutions, which we've done at L'Oréal, to help us answer to a lot of business challenges that we have to make things move quicker, more efficiently, more effectively, driving growth across different areas. And we're not seeing this in marketing, but this is happening in finance, in HR, in marketing. It's happening across the organization. So again, AI is not just a tool for marketers, but it's a tool for multiple users. In HR, we're developing an HR buddy. So you can ask so we upload a lot of the questions that are coming from employees. We take in a lot of the documents and uploading them into the HR buddy, and we'll have a virtual buddy that anybody can ask, simple HR questions, which takes a lot of time off of HR people, right? So I don't know, when does my health benefit expire, or whatever the case is, right? And the HR buddy will help answer these questions. So you don't have to look for it, because a lot of times, if I ask that question, the first thing I'm like, where do I find that in my organization? That's like, I'm going to call HR, I'm going to email HR. No, you just ask your HR buddy, and your HR buddy will answer all the questions. I mean, this is one simple case. So there's, multiple different areas where...
And I'm thinking, because you are in a very comfortable position, meaning the L'Oréal GPT A is advanced, B, it's there, C, it's available to all employees. I mean, practically everyone in the company can use it. And compared to other organizations we see in Poland, this is a pretty advanced level. I mean, there is also the solution of Copilot, right?
Yep.
So this is something that is kind of helpful, but...
Which is not available to me yet, believe it or not. So I'm still waiting for Global to give me the access to Copilot.
No, GPT is better.
But I haven't heard any amazing things. I've heard most people saying that GPT is much better. But I'm waiting for my personal assistant, which should come pretty soon, hopefully.
AI assistant.
Yeah. Somebody that will do so much work for me. I mean, maybe not a lot of work, but to give you a simple example of a pilot or an assistant. So I think that in easily in the next 3 years, 3, 4, 5 years, those that want will have their own personal assistant. So their own personal assistant, which is AI, 100% AI, and that personal assistant, I'll ask my personal assistant, hey, can you call my doctor and I'm not talking about work stuff. It's work also, but just to give you a simple one, call my doctor and make me a doctor's appointment because as you see, my blood sugar level is down. I don't know, I've got a problem. Can you call? And your buddy will. Your buddy will call. Your assistant will call and make that appointment, giving you time to do more important things. I'm being very, very simple here at the moment, right? And then your assistant will talk to another HR assistant from the doctor's side, right?
Yeah. And the assistant's gonna go
and
play
the two HR assistants will manage it out. The AI assistants will manage it out.
But actually, this is a real use case. I don't know whether you heard, but the Tinder, I think, is testing the functionality that they're gonna do kind of a digital twin of your profile.
Okay.
And instead of you kind of swiping, they're gonna kind of do a pre-match. So you're gonna have the digital twins to talk to each other, whatever that means, to give you a pre-selected partners to talk to, or kind of, you're not going to swipe like 1,000 people, you're going to swipe like 100 people, but there will be already some kind of, pre-selected.
Right. Well, I'm not a Tinder user, so I can't really answer to that, but yes.
Would you like your assistant to be your digital twin? Would you like you have your kind of personality, way of thinking?
So I would want my AI twin to have all of the knowledge that I have as much as possibly available today, because we can't plug our brains in yet. Hopefully within 10 years we'll be able to do that. But we can get that data from multiple sources, right? As close as we can. So AI analyzing, for example, all of our team's discussions. To get an understanding of how I communicate, or analyzing my emails to get an understanding of me, and so there's multiple ways to download my data onto that AI. I would want it to know me as well as possibly it can, so down to my personality, to my health, which is super important. But do I want it to look like me? Probably not. I think I want it to know everything about me, but does it have to look like me? No, I don't. It'd be kind of creepy looking into me all the time. Wouldn't it be creepy? I mean,
Dino, digital Dino twin.
How do you even have a discussion with yourself? That's kind of weird. So I don't know.
Okay, so maybe not the visuals, but how about the personality? Would you, because this is, for example, what we dig into when it comes to Team Navigator, right? And our app, and we're kind of designing an assistant that should help managers to manage their team, right?
It needs to know my personality, but it doesn't. It needs to know my personality, not have my personality.
Okay, what is behind it?
Why should it have my personality?
Because then it's going to be you. In a way,
but do I want it to be? But I don't.
A very good question.
Yeah. So there are cases where yes, me is a very interesting topic. So having a twin of me is a very interesting topic in terms of. But here starts to get extremely edgy in terms of privacy, fakes. You know what I'm getting into, right? Yeah. So, if there's a twin of the president, somebody can program it to say what it wants, and it's going to happen because it's already happening. I already have a twin of myself, so it's not something that I have a twin of myself. I haven't uploaded all of that data of myself yet. It's going in that direction, and it will help us maybe alleviate some things that we don't want to do ourselves. But again, do I want, if there's a conference happening, or if somebody's doing a speech to their employees, do I want my twin to be doing it, or me? Or more so on the other side, does the receiving end want to listen to a twin, or do they want to listen to the real me? Everybody wants to listen to the real person, right?
Yeah.
They don't want to listen to a twin, even though they're exactly the same. They're still AI, right? And I want to listen to the real thing. I don't give a shit if it's exactly the same as you are. I still want to have a discussion with you and not a twin. That's kind of my. So how far is that going to go in the future? I don't know. It's an interesting topic. It's a topic that we can chat a lot longer than the time that we have. But I think it's something that is exciting, and it's going to happen. Now, is it going to work? I mean, I don't know. On some levels, it may work.
Yeah, and I totally agree with the huge elephant in the room, meaning the gray area, privacy, and kind of what you can.
Everybody knows everything about us anyway already, so the privacy is just bullshit.
Yes, and kind of this is but this is the curious thing when we kind of when we work with teams and we show people what this can do. I mean, practically it can, if you kind of work with this enough, you can do a digital twin having your personality using, for example, psychological tools.
100%.
And then you can, see, ask a question and then you see, this is how I would respond to a particular situation. You have like a mind blow.
No, absolutely.
And then I'm kind of, when we are talking to people, they're like, kind of creepy at the beginning, but that listen, imagine that you can talk to the digital twin of your boss when you're preparing a presentation.
Yeah,
would you like to talk to
you found a
twin?
case. So here's a really good case. Yeah.
And kind of, to consult what he would like to be interested in, right? What are the main questions he or she may have? And then kind of, to
But then I can get my digital twin, talk to my boss's digital twin and have the discussion and then come back to me with the outcome.
Yeah, this may be an infinite loop of digital twins talking together.
And then the AI created the AI that created the AI that created the AI.
I get the point. But I'm curious, how would you feel? Like that there is your digital avatar, and that you allow it to kind of be available for some people to talk to. Like, would you like this something like that to be? If yes, then do some just use cases, or
I definitely think that there will be a market for it. For sure, 100%. I still feel the uncomfortable from both ends, right? From both ends, from the receiving end and from the giving end. I still feel the kind of the area of uncomfort that this brings. I see it being used for evil purposes, unfortunately, right?
Yeah.
For evil, which is very sad, but will definitely happen in the near future. It's a good question. I don't have an answer, but I think there will be use cases and business areas for it. I see more for the side of my assistant. Maybe that doesn't look exactly like me, or maybe looks like me, but they're, I don't know, green.
Like a Shrek thing.
Like a Shrek
Dino
thing.
Shrek.
For example, or Dino from the Flintstones, Dino. Oh, that would work.
Yeah. I'm just having this picture in my head. I stumbled upon it.
With my voice.
Yes.
Boom, 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 boom. But speaking Dino.
Exactly. This is why I think we are just at the beginning, meaning that the technology brings a lot of potential. And from my perspective, especially trying to read into the words of what the tech giants say, I mean, Sam Altman, the representatives of OpenAI, Google, Amazon, etc., that technology is like, fly high. You can do a lot with it, and the biggest challenge is going to be, how do we as people adapt to it? Meaning, how do we tackle this? For example, like, we as people believe that creativity is something specific for us, right? And everywhere I go, when we do some trainings, talk to people, etc., people say, I ask them the question, what do you think the AI is not going to be able to do? Oh, it's not going to be able to be creative. Well,
it is creative.
Exactly.
But you know what, Tomasz? Today, AI is nothing without human input. Everything that AI gets today is coming from humanity. Every single piece of anything that it creates today, in terms of creative art, is coming from where? It's coming from humanity. Because this has once been created by humans. It's mixing things and changing things. But again, the input is coming from humanity. I really think that, so in the future, when it comes to creativity, or to the future, even today, we use We will use AI. We do, and we will use AI to become better, to do things better, to become more creative, to open up our minds, and to do things more effectively, faster, creativity, and to build creativity. AI in itself today, without input, if I put ChatGPT on the table, if I leave it here for an eternity, it's not going to come up with anything. Right?
Yeah.
If I don't prompt it,
Yeah.
it is going to sit here for eternity. It ain't going to do anything. It does nothing without humans today. At the moment, it needs human input. So it's this human collaboration with AI that's going to create magical things. And it's like Batman and Robin, right? We're Batman and Robin. Our sidekick is the AI. We work together to make an amazing team.
Good metaphor.
And I think that, again, in 10 years, things could change because AI is going to create the AI that's going to create the AI and keep going. We have a few things that we need to overcome before that happens. Things are happening so quickly that also I think a lot of these things that are happening, humans are like, they're amazed, and they're going to continue to be amazed as this moves forward. There are a few blocking points in terms of the growth of AI exponentially. Power is one.
Yeah.
Right? AI takes massive amounts of power. And for AI to become, to get to that singularity that everybody talks about, which could happen in 10 years, do we need a lot more power? I don't know yet. But I think AI will help us solve the power problem.
Yeah.
So,
I think I would assume this already in progress.
Yeah. You could just have the desert filled with solar panels and...
For example. Or Microsoft building nuclear power plants.
But we need a lot of them. I think to really power AI.
I know, like right now, I think in Pennsylvania, they are relaunching the old nuclear power plants that were shut down.
That's safe.
Because we need energy.
Because AI told them to do it.
I don't know. This is not kind of it, but it's.
But I think AI is going to help us it will help us create new models in terms of energy efficiency. It's obvious it's going to help in these multiple areas. So exciting times ahead.
I would say that I kind of know. I would bet that probably there's going to be a moment where you get to the point, okay, now this is a model that uses like 90% less energy than
absolutely.
than right now, and then kind of use it. And this is something
it's like the first computer, right?
Yeah.
It took up an entire room. This is the ENIAC or whatever from IBM, right? It took an entire room. How much power did it take? And what did it create, right? One plus one is two, right? So and now you have your mobile phone, of course. So it's just a matter of time. The AI models, they will become more efficient. They still take a lot of energy, and it's still going to take a lot of energy and data, right? But the models are creating more data. They're creating so much more data, right? They're fueling themselves.
Yeah, I have here the topic of synthetic data also, but I don't want to open a new one.
Pandora's box.
We're gonna talk for like 2 more hours.
Which would be interesting, but yes. Next one.
For sure. To wrap up, Dino, any kind of main thoughts, conclusions, what you would like to be as a key takeaway for people who are watching us and listening?
So I think it's more about repeating what I mentioned earlier. AI is not going to disappear. AI will grow exponentially. It's much faster than the internet was. I would say that it's the largest change maker in all of humanity. I would argue that. Some will say that the invention of electricity was huge, right? Was massive. It changed everything. But I still think that AI is going to be bigger than that. I mean, without electricity, we wouldn't have anything. But 20 years, 30 years, 40 years down the road, where human civilization has completely changed because of AI on so many different levels, in a good way. And again, we could get into this discussion. A lot of people, we haven't even tapped this yet, but the dark scenario, the Terminator of AI, the dark and the bright scenarios. So for me, I think AI is going to bring a lot of good to humanity, to people. We will integrate to AI, so 10 years max. In order for us to keep up to AI, we're going to need to integrate. Integrate meaning, you'll have the option as a person to put a chip in you and to to be quick, because the only thing today that's slowing us down is the interface, right?
Yeah.
So it's like the mobile phone. We have access to everything, but what's slowing us down? It's just the interface, right? So once you plug that interface into you and you're connected to AI, everything changes.
Yeah.
But that's the only way we're going to keep up to AI, right? Because we need to integrate. We need to be as one. We need to work together. And that's where the whole game changes. But that's coming in 10 years. Elon Musk is already working on it. You know what I mean? It's coming. It's coming very fast. So I think a lot of the scary things are that it's coming very, very quickly and things are going to change fast. So I would say, again, be curious. Do your research. Don't just say, it's something, it's going to go away. No, it's not. It's going to change everything and it's going to change things very quickly. It's already doing it at an astronomically fast rate. I don't think it's going to in the short term, in the next 10 years, I don't know, 5 years. I don't think it's going to take jobs. I think it's going to take a lot of jobs, but it's going to create a lot of jobs also, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to create a lot of new areas where people didn't think about. It's like the internet, right? The internet launched. People were afraid it's going to take jobs. They didn't know it created millions of jobs, right?
Additional.
And I can continue on and on, but so.
And I would, as a key takeaway, build also on what you said, the curiosity element. And I see here the one thing is for the mind, meaning being curious will keep you on the wave.
Yeah.
And sliding, not being, overwhelmed.
Have your own opinion, but have it on data. Have it on research. Don't just have an opinion, but be curious. Do YouTube, read videos, etc. Have an opinion. That's really, really important.
And from my perspective, also emotionally being curious also helps with these kind of feeling a little bit of scared, because we really, people also have this. Okay, what's gonna happen, right? My job, not my job, etc. But another topic. Last question. You don't know who is gonna be the next guest, but I'm curious about your question. So this is now the time for you to set up what you would like to ask a next guest we're going to have here on the podcast. What did they about the AI? So what is the question you would like to set up for them?
Well, that's
him or her.
That's a tough one, because there's nothing but questions when it comes to AI, right? It's just it's Pandora's box. It's full of questions. I will ask maybe a tough one, a philosophical question, but in 50 years' time, where do you see humanity's purpose? What is our purpose in 50 years' time? When AI has been integrated to humanity and everybody's half human, half AI, what's our purpose?
Okay, so, and with this, thank you, Dino, very much, because you're setting up the stage for a really, really interesting discussion. I don't envy the guests, because this is going to be a hard one to answer, but great to have you here. Thank a lot for your, input, perspective, a lot of insights, a lot of practical tips and tools.
Thank you very much, Tomek, for having me on the show. It was an absolute pleasure to talk to you.
Thanks.
We'll be in touch.
See ya.